From 1:16 a.m. In response to the English government's plan to add calories to menus, adding calorie labels on menus will increase the number of people subconsciously checking what they are eating, which will in turn promote diet culture and could lead to more people either developing an eating disorder or relapsing back into one. Stop the legislation that will make some restaurants put calorie labels on menus. 739 people have signed the petition. Entitled Khaleesi, who apparently eats a lot of chickpeas, replied, "As someone who lives in the US, I'm shocked by the amount of blowback against putting calorie labels on menus in the UK. You see them everywhere here, and our obesity rates haven't exactly declined because of it, and I don't think our eating disorder rates or fatalities have skyrocketed from it either. It's just making information easier to get. People still have to make choices based on that information. I don't understand the blowback at all." From Obamacare, on the same subject, "Calorie counts on menus are a great idea," said literally no one ever. "How I feel about calories going on menus. I know I'm not the only one who thinks that this proposed government measure is a terrible idea." What actually are calories? Calories are kilocalories or units of energy. Specifically, they are units of heat energy required to raise 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. Or you may prefer to think of them as units of energy that keep you alive every darn day. Flex. Get Fit Kit replied, "I've literally said that they should put calories on menus, possibly multiple times. What is she talking about?" Carson added, "Said literally no one ever, except for all the people who said exactly that." From Geek Nerd 35, a comment about how vice presidential running mates are chosen. "And I thought to myself, why didn't he pick Stacey Abrams? I had a complicated answer, but it really just boils down to colorism and fat phobia being in everything." Juvor replied, "Last night, I remember watching The Biggest Loser reruns, and suddenly in between all those episodes came the Democratic Convention. I usually avoid politics, but thought, what the heck, might as well endure through this one. And, to my astonishment, they put all the candidates through similar strength and endurance tests that they did on The Biggest Loser. The height of the Democratic Convention episode was the final weigh-in to see who was going to be the lightest candidate to pick up the nominee. I knew that Stacey Abrams had no chance, even before the scale tipped up to 290 pounds during her weigh-in. Kamala Harris was a bit of a surprise, but it's hard to contest against someone who's only 120 pounds of body mass. Maggie Hassan clearly stood no chance, despite having a similar body composition due to her towering height. From Exciting Llama, or Exciting Llama if you're Spanish. "Being fat is cool and good actually. Ignore fat-phobic anons. Also, because they are simply going to die out in the autumn when the temperature drops a little, causing them to instantly lose all heat necessary to survive, due to lack of insulation." Taco Nomad replied, "Can confirm, was super skinny for many years in my youth. I must have died off a dozen times, I tell you. But once winter is over, a little bit of watering, sunlight, and a big greasy cheeseburger, I came back." From a bunch of numbers. "This is ridiculous. Why not make a vaccine that, I don't know, works for everyone instead of deciding whose life is worth it? The fat phobia is really jumping out on this one. This isn't an obesity problem. There's a medical problem of not practicing health at every size. Vaccines protecting against influenza, hepatitis B, and rabies are less effective for obese people. As scientists develop a vaccine for a disease I can't even say, experts say obesity could be an impediment. A sobering prospect for the US, where nearly half of adults are obese." Ancient Matter replied, "Scientist 1, we could just release a vaccine that works for everyone equally, but let's just release the one that doesn't work on fat people." Scientist 2, "Yes, I agree. This is a real conversation." From Tough Cookie. A pie chart trying to explain what fat phobia is. It has roughly 20 pie slices, reuses colors multiple times, and is impossible to understand. OCR Amazon replied, "I feel like if a pie chart has more than 6 wedges, you are doing pie charts wrong." Candoya Karinita added, "Restricting yourself to only 6 wedges of pie chart is starvation." From Shapoopy. "Ladies, quit these healthy habits to stop binging. veggies and protein at every meal, choosing White Claws instead of gin and tonics, subbing the fries for a side salad. Entitled Khaleesi replied, "Wait, my reading comprehension's no good. So I need to stop having veggies and protein, stop drinking White Claw, and stop having fries instead of a side salad?" It seems like they might have meant subbing a side salad for fries. I'm just confused all around. Monty Apocalypse replied, "Ah yes, Americans' world-renowned problem with eating too many veggies. Gotta lay off those veggies, you guys, making you fat. Every time I see an obese American, I know I'm looking at someone who's pounded back way too much spinach. Stop eating all that satiating protein and fiber-rich veggies, guys. Being full is making you binge." From Lemire 2000. Dieting is an affront to basic human rights. Intentional weight loss and restricted eating are against a bunch of social causes. Killer Tapir replied, "Intentional weight loss always kind of gets me. Alright, if it makes you feel better, golly gee gosh, I just totally by accident happened to consistently eat below maintenance for an extended period of time and ate healthier food. Completely by coincidence, I lost weight. I sure hope I don't mistakenly go for a long walk at the weekend. Is that better? Can we talk about it now?" From Sun Waffles. In our culture, thinness is incorrectly seen as a sign of superior self-control and discipline. In fact, it's typically a sign that a person has the genetics that created a thin body. Many thin people think they have just worked much harder than others to be their size. They may work very hard, but that doesn't negate that they were born into a societal advantage, and that others without that advantage can work just as hard or harder and still not get the same result. We know from research that the chances of a fat person becoming a thin person is less than 1%, so we can deduce that there is no amount of willpower or discipline that can fundamentally change your body size. Understanding thin privilege helps us understand the myths that prevent us from accepting that all body types are a valid and amazing part of body diversity. Joy Jones III replied, "There was no obesity epidemic in the 50s, 60s, 70s. Isn't it funny how everyone's genetics changed in just a few decades?" Muscravager added, "Mass mutation. That's the real story. Why aren't people more concerned about this than obesity? I never understand." From Gloom Gecko. The biggest myth about weight loss. I think the largest myth is that if you eat less and move more, you can lose all the weight you want. The people who are able to do that are equivalent to people who have won the lottery. I think we all know that there are people that win the lottery, but not everybody does. And the people who win the lottery and are able to lose weight through diet and exercise are screaming at everybody else, "Why can't you do it? I did." But it would be the same as the lottery winner saying, "I won the lottery. Why didn't you win the lottery?" We see the absurdity of that, but we don't see it when it comes to weight loss. Best way to lose weight? I think that probably the best way is to pick the right parents. If you have the right genetic makeup, it defends against weight gain. There's a study that had many people eat 1,000 calories extra, which is about a third more than they normally ate, and there are some individuals in that study who gained nothing, despite not exercising more. Salt and Home replied, "Reminds me of family meals at restaurants, being told I'm naturally skinny because we eat the same things. While a family member orders so much extra salad dressing, the place finally said, 'No more. Triple extra cheese, a side of sauce, and 2 sodas and dessert, while I have my salad with lemon, drink water, skip dessert, and bring half the entree home for tomorrow. But we ate the same thing, it must be genetic.'" Taritha posted, "Tummies are important. They keep vital organs safe and warm. Yes, it's normal and healthy and necessary to have a round belly. Diet culture is wrong. A smaller belly isn't the key to happiness. Your worth is far greater than a small waist ever could be. Muffin tops are cute as fudge." Malarkey B replied, "What empowering language. We would definitely end sexism immediately and elect female officials into every office of government if every woman started infantilizing themselves through ooh-woo baby talk. Remember to address every male as daddy and wear pigtails and miniskirts in the workplace for maximum feminism." Taritha added, "You know that ugh sound people make when they're about to throw up? That's the sound I just made." From Captain Cork. One compliment, flattering, has outlived them all, selling more jeans, more party dresses, and more swimsuits than any other word. Flattering is fashion clickbait and add-to-basket dog whistle. For Generation Z, roughly speaking, those born between 1995 and 2010, flattering is becoming a new F word. To compliment a woman on her flattering dresses, passive-aggressive body policing, sneaked into our consciousness in a Trojan horse of sisterly helpfulness. It is a euphemism for fat-shaming, a sniper attack slyly targeting our hidden vulnerabilities. Flattering, in other words, is cancelled. Farahild replied, "Oh, flatter off." From Love Dove Bunny. Hello, I'm new here. I have a question that I hope I can get answers to. My friend posted that she lost a lot of weight and feels much better physically and emotionally. How can I talk to her about her post? I was upset because she made it seem like losing weight automatically makes you healthy, which isn't true. I don't want to potentially lose her as a friend. Thank you for any help. Sunny Side Up replied, "You really can't be telling people what to post on their social media. If you're bothered by it, don't follow them. There is the fat acceptance narrative again. Change the world to fit me rather than change myself to fit the world." In real news about obesity, a new study in JAD shows that higher BMI is linked with decreased cerebral blood flow, which is associated with increased risk of Alzheimer's disease and mental illness. So that's something to think about. In world news, the Mexican state of Oaxaca has banned the sale of junk food and sugary drinks to children in an attempt to reduce high obesity and diabetes levels. McLanty Kootley replied, "Coca-Cola is not going to be happy about this." Accomplished Pilot added, "Pepsi's about to start a naval blockade." From Hike Lua. Experiencing discrimination based on weight leads to increased risk of high blood pressure, chronic inflammation, risky health behaviors, chronic stress. In other words, fatphobia, rather than weight or BMI, is a risk factor for poor health outcomes. A focus on body positivity and self-compassion is needed to support public health. Look at this face replied, "And what happens when nobody bats an eye about your rotund body? And the diabetes doesn't magically go away? What then? Will you then accept that your weight is a factor?" From John Doe, a little bit of sanity. Both my therapist and primary care doctor have advised me to lose more weight after dropping out of the obesity category. Do you know why I didn't get offended and scream about fat phobia? Because they are right. Both my parents are obese. They both have sleep apnea. My father has type 2 diabetes. My mother has had a knee replacement. And let me tell you, I am so proud of her because she has lost 40 pounds since the surgery. Because the doctors told her the replacement wouldn't last as long as it should at her current weight. I have 2 front row seats to the documentary of what obesity can do. I don't want to have as many health problems as my parents do. Your medical professional doesn't care about you meeting societal beauty standards. They are making this suggestion in order to improve and extend your quality of life. It's their job. Ignore them if you like, but don't slander them for doing their job. From But You Can't Make Me, a little bit more sanity. It's not easy. The cardio really helped me. I try to do 30 to 60 minutes, 3 to 5 days a week. I hate running, and I didn't want to pay for gym classes, and I can zone out on the elliptical or binge watch a new show. It keeps me sane now, and it feels amazing when I hit my stride. Honestly, other people are the hardest part. I got salad shamed so much, and I make some bomb-ass salads, and I literally had a lady chase me around the office with cheesecake, which she put on my desk when I wasn't looking and I threw out. You learn pretty quick not to talk about intentional weight loss with people, because a lot of them take it as a personal attack even when they bring it up. Shaking my head. Lilac Harith replied, "Definitely the hardest part continues to be family members who show love with food. They mean well, but it's a hard balancing act when partaking in their offers and sacrificing a meal later and turning down their food gifts so I can eat balanced that day. My mom sends me home with ridiculous amounts of baking. I started passing it along to my neighbor, who runs a group home for teenage boys. They're always excited for it because the foster dad is the only adult and he doesn't bake. Certainly none of the boys bake. It's a win-win." From a bunch of numbers. Trigger word, weight loss. It's fatphobic to refer to weight loss as taking care of yourself. It's also a total lie because weight cycling increases cortisol, which contributes to all the diseases blamed on fat, and it damages your cardiovascular system. We have about 70 years worth of studies into how calorie deprivation causes damage to the body. We have animal studies, we have controlled trials, we have population-wide studies of the survivors of famine, and we have comparison epidemiological studies. It doesn't get more proven out than that, especially not in the field of nutrition and weight. We absolutely know that calorie deprivation damages blood vessels and causes metabolic issues. So why are we pretending that dieting is anything other than self-harm? Trying to lose weight is not taking care of your body, it hurts your body. We have so much proof of this, so much more than anyone who advocates for dieting does. Maybe 80 years even. I believe the Minnesota starvation experiment was in the 1940s, but I don't feel like checking right now. Kiki Pin replied. FAs. Dieting for weight loss is bad for your health. There are studies. Studies are everything. Everyone else, there are thousands more studies that prove obesity is bad for your health. FAs. Not those studies, obviously. PM Me Crosswords added. Bro, it's the 21st century. Science and data and facts are all just snippets of biased information that you misrepresent to confirm your worldview. From Ellie Real, some words of sanity from an influencer that recently got out of the HAES bubble. Your body deserves health as well. Love your body, cherish it, respect it, listen to it. You are on the same team. I've spent so many years treating my body as a separate entity. It's not me and my body. It's just me. My body is a part of me. So when I think about what's best for me, my body is a part of the equation. I've realized recently we often talk about our bodies as external things like a sweater we put on and take off. Online, a lot of conversations center around what our bodies can and cannot do. It's like we are trained to put our frustrations with all sorts of issues we face on our bodies. We punish the skin we're in because it feels a little less close to home than addressing what we really feel and why we do what we do. So instead of learning to love my body, I'm learning to understand and appreciate the fundamental part it plays in my safety, happiness, and world experience. It's not my body, it's me. From Boring Girl 2. People often ask, so you're advocating that people should eat whatever they want, however they want, whenever they want. But does that mean you think it's okay for people to just eat cookies and cakes all day? First of all, yes, I do think it's okay. More importantly, I'm 100% sure that it is because of diet culture that all we can think of is eating cookies and cakes all day when the idea of food freedom is presented to us. If we didn't feel morally compelled to avoid cookies and cakes, the idea that someone would eat nothing but cookies and cakes all day would not even be a thing. People think the idea of food freedom is bizarre. But it's actually diet culture that is bizarre, creepy, and full of poop. The idea that we need to control our body and our hunger is about the belief that our bodies must be under constant surveillance. That belief is tied to the normalization of the prison industrial complex. Really? White supremacy, to misogyny, and colonial ways of thinking and existing. Really? When I chow down on a ramen-encrusted corn dog, praise be, I am refusing to participate in the criminalization, medicalization, and pathologization, is that really a word? Of food, pleasure, or my big brown body. I'm refusing to see my body as ill or in need of restriction. I am locating that sense of illness in the culture, not my perfect body. I'm refusing to see my love of food as wrong. I'm affirming that I can and will continue to trust myself and that I trust my body. Now, please enjoy watching me smash neo-colonialism. What the heck's that? And patriarchy with my enjoyment of this corn dog. Which is probably made by a male-owned company. Retro Ranges replied, "It's like saying drug overdoses are only a thing because people try to kick the habit." From Captain Cork. How do you square the call to buy fresh ingredients, spend an hour longer in the kitchen, or go for an evening job when we are more tired, poorer, and more boxed in than ever before? Focus on productivity has moved from the professional to the personal, even more acutely since the advent of a thing I can't talk about, and the expectation from the government no less, that you make use of whatever time you have to yourself to live a so-called better life. will breed feelings of self-shame, frustration, and unhappiness without making the slightest dent on public health. Captain Cork replied to his post, "It's incredibly frustrating how any initiatives toward weight loss and health are rained on and made to seem way more damaging than they are. Whenever someone says you can, there's a chorus saying, 'You can't!' Nobody spends an extra hour to cook fresh food. Being tired doesn't prevent you from buying vegetables. It's all silly hyperbole." Entitled Khaleesi added, "To be fair, once I began to clean up my eating, I spent a lot more time on food and a lot less money. It used to be easy. Fast food or takeout once or twice a day. Now I actually have food in my fridge and I have to plan how to assemble it into something nutritious and filling. It definitely takes more of my time, but it takes a heck of a lot less of my money. Also, even though it takes more time, I'm basically self-isolating due to a thing I can't talk about. So it's not like this is time I would be out with my friends or bar hopping anyway. I might as well. Also, I don't think it has to take that much time. You could probably just buy some fruit, a few bags of frozen pre-cooked chicken, and some brown rice, and there are your dinners 5 nights a week. I mean, eating like that every single day would probably be depressing, but heck, people can do it if they legitimately don't have time to put food together." Pretzel Schmetzel added even more. "It's not like getting takeouts takes no time at all. When I wanted to get takeout for dinner, I'd have to stop on the way home, and even home delivery requires that you decide what you want and call. And like you say, cooking doesn't have to take much time. I don't enjoy cooking and will always go for something simple. Some vegetables and meat, fried, boiled, or baked, is really easy and simple to cook. Chuck on some seasoning and voila! The only thing it really requires more of is effort. Rather than standing in a queue, you now have to chop and plan a bit, and just a little bit more time to cook and buy your groceries. I think a lot of people do have the time, they just don't want to spend it on cooking."